The attack on Gen Z by, that is a crazy name, DIVYN? DIVYN? Anyways, we'll look at this. Let's see what we're being attacked with. Let's see what we're being attacked with. It's because of all the movies, deep dives I've been watching. I can tell. Anyways, let's see. Let's see what we're being attacked with.
There's a growing trend some people are starting to notice. I was on Instagram the other day and someone sent me this story. I'd already seen it, but everyone was reposting.
By the way, that's crazy. Like, is having a boyfriend embarrassing is just crazy work to say. That is just crazy work. They don't, the elites, the rich, the powerful, they don't want us to date. I tell you as it is. Now I'm slowly sounding like Metatron. I'm telling you how it is. They do not want us to have families. They don't. They don't want us to have that. I don't know why. Maybe I do actually, because it's easy, control is easier, but they do not want us to have relationships, wives, husbands, children. They don't. And it's pretty damn obvious.
Posting it, and it was an article from maybe a few weeks ago in Vogue magazine, and the title was something along the lines of, "Is having a boyfriend embarrassing now?" Really? It went sort of viral, but as per usual, people...
Ever seen the meme like, were our ancestors smarter? Are we devolving? Are women retarded? Well, this is a push on women mostly, right? This is not... men aren't promoting to not date women. Like, people are not promoting men to like not date and not have relationships and not families. This is specifically targeted at women. And nobody can deny that it is specifically targeted at women. Anti-relationship propaganda, anti-family propaganda is specifically targeted at women. Unless you want to count red pill, that is specifically targeted at men. And the red pill is equally as retarded. They tell some truths, but the extremes are not applicable at all. Like, you know, one of the common things like, oh, men need to date a lot, men need to sleep around a lot, but don't take a woman with a high body count. Oh, you're getting that experience from other men? Don't forget to say Muppets. Yeah, true. True.
People sort of overlooked what's really going on here. People are saying this is just, what, women going insane?
This is women going insane! Yes! Particularly Western women. There's a reason the passport bro exists. They do exist.
People are saying it's organic stuff made by feminists. Well, is it really? What this is artificial, top-down, institutionally manufactured consent. This is not real.
It isn't real. And we can tell it isn't real because we look at the statistics and we realize that we have a loneliness problem. We can literally see it. We can literally see it. Also, maybe I'm too woke, but wifey material sounds like an insult. Ah yes. Should we call you instead one night stand material? Is that what you prefer? Like, what? Also, you're not... What word is unpartnered? You need to... So, I have a theory, and it's applicable for most people, men included. You do not prefer to be alone. You do not prefer to be single. You do not prefer the peace. You're not choosing to be not taken. You are untaken. You're just coping with the fact that nobody wants you. That is the truth. Most people that say that they're happy alone are lying because it goes against human nature. Being alone, being without a partner, does go against what is innate to your nature, to your biology. And I think it's absolute cope. Also, how is wifey material an insult? Like, how? Are you saying that, you being a good long-term partner is for some odd reason an insult? How is this possible?
The author, the comments promoting it, this is all in some sense or another fake. It is a veneer. What we're seeing is this attack on Gen Z. Zoom.
My story asking if boyfriends were embarrassed when viral. Here's what that says about the state of heterosexual dating. Interesting, but I do prefer it. People are scary. Do you actually prefer it, or is it just out of fear? Because that's the thing. Like, if you genuinely got the chance to find the wife, would you not take it? Again, it's just cope. At the core of this is fear. Understandably so. Because more and more people are retarded. And don't know how to have good relationships. Which is in return because they grew up without stable relationships. And this will get worse. Because how would you know how a good relationship looks if you never grew up with one? That's why I see single motherhood and single parenthood as a problem in general.
This targeted top-down propaganda in different areas of life. And to tie this together, I want to use one specific example to kick this video off, and that is what I guess we'll call this anti-dating propaganda, which is I
call it anti-family propaganda because that's what it is. It is anti-family propaganda. Simple. It is anti-family propaganda. 100%. I mean, look at shows, look at ads. Look how the man is portrayed. Look how the woman is portrayed. The woman is always portrayed as this, like, smart, intelligent, individual. And the man is usually, the father, for example, in this situation, is usually prepared as the bumbling fool who can't get his shit together. There are more women who'll hurt me than be with me, then I'm out. Yeah, true. That is very true. It is scary.
Actually different to feminism. And I want to use it as an example because it ties in with a lot of broader issues that young people are.
And see, here's the thing. Feminism is dead. What feminism was is dead. It's dead. It has been killed. It has been murdered by people selling women false feminism. Feminism is dead. The way it was supposed to be, is dead. Feminism, for example, is inherently anti-adult content. Inherently. Feminism strived to ban porn. What did women do? Turn it into empowerment. That is one of the most core aspects. Dead. Feminism did not mean I don't want to be sexualized. Feminism also meant I don't have to there is no sexualization for women. That is not happening. The goal was never only women can sexualize themselves. The goal was to remove sexualization from women's bodies. Failed. Utterly failed. Feminism also never aimed to annihilate the family union. Never. It never aimed to do that. Really? Yeah. If you read, like, a lot of older feminist literature from old feminists in the early days, they were incredibly anti-corn. They were inherently anti-corn. I don't think people who partake in fuck men, not literally, by the way, would actually behave the same way IRL. They wouldn't because they get punched. That's the harsh truth. They wouldn't because because they would be in harm's way. Not every man out there is like, I would never punch a woman. And that's why they wouldn't do it.
Facing, and we'll explore that a bit later. And that's what we're going to talk about in the video tonight. The anti-dating propaganda, which is, I think, suddenly really taking off, at least from what I've been seeing. And I'm going to explain why. Going to be a bit of a different video. I'll try and keep it shorter, and we're just going to jump straight into it. If you've been paying close attention over the past 12 months...
My goat! Shoe head, peak.
Young women have slowly but surely been coming around to the right wing. Not all of them, obviously.
Yep, there has been an increase in right wing. There's also been a major increase in women turning out to be Christian. There has been an increase in women taking on traditional family women roles and there has been more men taking on the traditional role because whatever we're doing now, this like purposeless blob of mass that we have become as a society, like we are a purposeless blob of mass. You can do whatever you want. You can be whatever you want. But here's the thing. Ever found yourself having the problem that you had so many options in your free time that you didn't know what to do, and everything you did felt bland? I think that's what we have with, like, our roles in society and our purpose. We don't have anything, like, to give us a compass, a direction on where to go. And that's why I believe that roles, gender roles, maybe weren't as bad as people make them out to be.
It's a small amount, but it is growing. There are a lot of crypto feminists among them trying to sneak in as well, make no mistake about it. But broadly, I think a lot of the younger women in specifically Gen Z have started to adopt some right-wing or nationalist or patriotic talking points. And it's definitely not all of them, but it is this significant and
Yeah, it's also funny. They did a few statistics on young Zoomers, and they have realized that this portion of young Zoomers, like, what is the oldest one right now? 14? They looked at, like, 12, 13, 14-year-old Zoomers, and they realized that these Zoomers hold a lot more conservative viewpoints, which is interesting to see. A lot more traditional.
growing proportion. It's hard to gauge because they're all at different points, but we are now seeing young women starting to openly trend towards rejecting feminism, especially highlighting how it's allowed for mass migration, you know, women being attacked, women being assaulted. We're seeing young women,
Which is also not a thing you can deny. There is a thing that we can't deny, that is that we put our Western women, into danger by opening our borders to anyone and everyone. We cannot invite men into our culture that are anti-women. They won't magically change. That is a truth. That is blatantly obvious. And I find it funny how these people want to advocate, like, that we can. It doesn't work. If you import men that say that your opinion is half of that of a man that believe this, they won't stop believing this once they're here. In a country where beating your wife is legal, it won't change here. It's as simple as that. And we have to realize this.
now call for women to just raise families. We're even seeing a lot of younger Gen Z women start to call out feminism on the right wing. Crypto feminists on the right wing within the conservative movement, if you don't know what I'm talking about, which even 1 year ago, like, wasn't even happening at all. So there's a long way to go, but a lot of women are coming around, and it is because stuff like, look, I know no one wants to talk about it. It's the anti-white stuff, you know, being attacked just because of how you were born, what race you were. It's the anti-Christian stuff, the anti-Christian attack on our civilization, and then everything else, anti-conservative stuff, the gaslighting between left and right. A lot of younger people are growing up in just absolute chaos, and I think it's leading to a lot of the younger men and women trending towards conservative or nationalist and Christian opinions. What's happened is that because life is becoming more uncertain and darker, over the past year, the whole right wing has shifted to the point where now the most elevated organic voices are Christian.
True. See, it is interesting. The problem was always with the right was always they did not embrace certain aspects of culture. They did not embrace anime. They did not embrace video games. They barely embraced modern culture, and that has changed. They are now embracing modern culture, and that is what made the change. Facebook is just roles work. Well, if we have role models, which don't really find anymore, that is, like, look at our old role models, right? Just look at our role models of back in the day. You had, like, Arnold, you had Dolph Lundgren, you had, like, frickin' Sylvester Stallone, right? These mountains of men. And now, you have, like, what? Hassan Piker? I don't know. Yeah. We lack role models as well. We do lack role models. For men and women, by the way. We do lack role models for men and women. Not only anti-women, anti-our culture, that's a problem. It is a problem. Nobody wants to admit that there's cultures that are just incompatible. Nobody wants to admit it, but it's true. It's true.
Patriotic young guys. You cannot put that back in the bag. Like, it is out, it is happening now. So, on the other side, the establishment figures who have been artificially pushed to counteract them have been anti-Western, anti-Christian, pro-feminist, pro-open borders, the list goes on. The result is younger women, mainly Gen Z, are seeing that they don't feel safe anymore amongst these sort of left-leaning establishment ideas. Society seems to be rapidly going downhill, and for a lot of them, they don't feel okay. Most of them haven't had good relationships with guys growing up, they haven't had a stable culture, they've had feminist messaging sort of relentlessly forced on them unnaturally, and unlike the millennials or Gen X, the Zoomers have known nothing else except this for their entire lives. Now, it's like every day there are more and more young Christian women emerging, or more young women becoming patriotic or nationalist or conservative or Christian, and they're starting to slowly form their own little cultures on the right wing or within the right wing, which is important for women because they need community amongst themselves. And again, what's important here is they, for a long time, had none of that on the right wing. The right wing didn't have that. Now it does. And that's a sign that something is changing. And the current score is that an increasing number of people are starting to see past the surface level explanations for things. And by proxy, they're now starting to look past the gatekeeping voices and look deeper. For example, years ago, young guys started questioning feminism and why women were.
I think there has been a change from women who look at men and are like, wait, these dudes are human, hold the fuck up. And I went into politics 3 years ago. So my views are probably outdated. No, they are bad outdated. They are bad outdated. If you disagree with the left, you're a Nazi. It's over. Don't worry.
Sort of going insane. And for so long, it was this absolute degenerate slop. I hated it. It was the manosphere stuff who said, hey, the problem is just women, and
no, the problem is not just women. The problem is it's a collective reason. It's a collective reason. It's not just women. If anything, women are the victims of this as well. It's not just women. Women are not at fault for what is happening here. At least not to the not in a major point. They're just being used as useful idiots.
The solution is just don't get married.
Because appeal to emotion works, unfortunately, much greater for women than it does for men. Unfortunately, that is sad. But it is what it is.
And don't have kids. None of them were deplatformed. Why? Because they were part of this plan. They were part of the deception, part of the problem. Well, now the young guys are rejecting that. The young guys are asking, hold on a minute, but where did feminism come from? Women didn't invent it, like they're saying. Who did? Because in 2020, when Tate broke from that manosphere narrative, again, regardless of what you think of him, I've got my own disagreements with the way he lives. When he broke from that manosphere narrative and he started telling young guys that feminism was artificially pushed onto our society, yeah, lo and behold, he got banned. And everyone saw it.
See, here's the thing. The manosphere did one good, an important thing. The red pill did one good, important thing. It made men question their relationships. It made men question and stand still for a moment and be like, am I being treated respectfully? It made them question, it made them think I'm a human, I should have self-respect in my own relationship. And I think that I'm running out of breath. Help. That is one good thing. It made men question their relationship. It made them question how they're being treated.
While all the manosphere people were completely fine on YouTube, ranting about what, just women all day, Tate got banned for questioning that maybe we are in an artificially managed decline. And now people see past that stuff and they're saying, hey, wait a minute, our society had feminism amongst, many other things forced onto us to allow women to do unnatural things that plays into their fallen nature in order to destroy our civilization. And that's just one small example. Gen X now watch Tucker Carlson.
The problem is that feminism was about choice. It was about choice. It was about women choosing what they want to do. And it has been turned into, if you don't make the right choice, then you are anti-feminist. If you start a family, you are anti-feminist. If you date men, you are anti-feminist. If you are not vegan, you are anti-feminist. That is a talking point, by the way. Being not vegan is anti-feminist. And in some ways, I would say that that development was natural, but we've overcorrected so much that we are now in unnatural territory, where even the women are not happy with what they're doing.
Tommy Fox News, audience got red-pilled by Tucker, he left. Now they followed him. And he's questioning everything. This has all happened in what, like 12 months, 2 years? Women are now watching Candace. What happened with her? Same thing. She gets deplatformed, goes into...
Yeah, but Candace, I wouldn't use Candace. Candace is special. Carson is also special. But Candace is even more special. That woman is very special. I don't know about that one, Chief.
Independent for questioning the wrong things. But she could, you look at her, she's kept a huge audience. To the surprise of probably a lot of people. Brett Cooper, same thing. A lot of young Zoomer women watch her. She seemed like a normie. She seemed like an e-girl. Oh, now look.
I like Brett. I like Brett Cooper. I like Brett Cooper. But even I look at VTubers. There's a lot of female VTubers that are incredibly pro-men and based, that also say homies, take care of yourself, go out, find a girl.
Look. Now she's starting to question the narrative a bit more deeply, and they're trying to cancel her. Why is that? Oh, because she's taking all these young women, she's red-pilling them, and taking them with her. And let's just set the record straight again. This goes way beyond dating. This is just an example for this video, because it goes way beyond that. You think about, what has this institutional brainwashing, this propaganda done to us over the decades? What has it done to our generation as well? Think about it, young people are sick of this stuff. Let's look at abortion. Did you know that abortion, which is a byproduct of this stuff, 1 in 4 women will have an abortion before they are 45 or...
My stance is pretty simple. I'm anti-abortion. Simple.
35, I think it is. That's a statistic from the UK. 1 in 4. Are you kidding me? What about our generation, Gen Z? Did you know that 1/3 of Gen Z, my generation...
28% of our generation is gone. And you can assume... See, this is a death spiral. You know why? This is a death spiral. When people say abortion is not a problem, I can't just laugh, because this is a death spiral. Because 28% of my generation's gone. What do you think is going to happen to Gen Alpha? What do you think is going to happen to Gen Beta? You do this over and over, and it just gets less people. This is a death spiral, which is why it's a problem. It is a problem. It 100% is. And people try to say oh, it's necessary, it's that important, it's healthcare. No, it's not. You know what would be important? Using birth control correctly. Is above 80%, I think 87% of all abortions are due to not using birth control or using it badly. So maybe we should start education there first. It is a problem. And it is necessary to acknowledge that it is a problem.
were aborted. 30-something%. And it's like, for every two of us, for every two
One stat claims that 48 of all pregnancies in the UK were aborted in 2024. You cannot tell me that's normal. You cannot tell me that is normal. If that is if that is a highball, and that highball is accurate, that's terrifying. That right there is terrifying. Whether you think abortion is important or not, that is terrifying. That's not normal. That's not how it should be.
consumers, there should have been a third person standing there, and they're not, because they were killed. And that's how we need to view this. And this is what I mean when I say this goes way beyond dating or marriage or even to some extent family. It's like, look at everything else that this stuff has resulted in. This is why a transformational shift amongst Gen Z, amongst young people, amongst people in general, is such a big deal. It's why a transformational shift amongst Gen Z women is such a big deal as well. Like, the institutions know this, the media knows this. That's why they are trying so hard to stop it from growing as fast as it's going right now, because it's going crazy right now. Because if this generational-wide mass awakening continues, more and more people are getting red-pilled on it. If that keeps happening, anything that's against us, it loses. It loses its power, because everyone knows what's up. And by the way, younger people are actually more open to dialogue with people they disagree with than the previous generations anyway. Because our situation is disturbing. And I'll give you an example I just saw, actually. Rusland, I think his name is, who is this millennial Christian influencer, he's like a rapper or something, is now out here basically tone policing Brett Cooper, who is an actually based Gen Z girl. Whatever I've said about her in the past, I take it back. She's actually based. This girl is based. They're going after her because she defended Tucker and Nick. This guy says in his video response that if you believe young men are disenfranchised, and he says a few other things, like if you believe that the system is in some way against you, then you are woke right. Woke right?
It isn't wrong, though. The system has been twisted. The system has been twisted. There's undeniable proof. Because I would argue that if you think that men, for some odd reason, have it easier, I would like to refer to, who was it? I forgot, I forgot her name. That one lady who, went undercover as a man and eventually ended her life because it was too traumatizing, the experience being a man. Nora Vincent. I would like to refer to Nora Vincent. Shit ain't easier.
You kidding me? This is why young people are starting to really tune out, okay? And this, at the same time, I saw as well, you have Mark Driscoll, who's apparently this, based man's man, pastor. I think he's a millennial as well, Gen X. He's out here going after Tucker and Nick as well. And it's like, dude, this is part of the reason why young people are tuning out of this stuff, this slop. Because it's like, this is a coordinated effort to silence dissident voices. Could it be any more obvious? Oh, so all of a sudden, who are the targets? Nick, Tucker, Candace, and Brett Cooper. Really? Brett Cooper? She's just, oh, that's right, she talked about stuff. And it's like, everyone sees this now. You got some rich Christian influencers or whatever, all these voices online lecturing young people, saying that if you even suggest that Gen Z are in some way or another being victimized by like institutional control or the system or whatever you want to call it, then you are woke right. Like, are you kidding me? All these people doing the Jordan Peterson thing, saying there's no conspiracies. The only one that's against you is yourself. Really? Have you read the Bible? This is what I'm talking about.
Which is like interesting because we can actively tell that they're against the native population by making people come here so they can pay them less. There is a truth that nobody wants to hear. these big companies hire foreigners so they don't have to pay you more money. Because they can give the foreigners minimum wage because, well, they already have nothing. And minimum wage is more what they have had. So yeah, it just there are things being made that make it artificially harder for Gen Z. It's like funny, like there's nothing making it harder. What was the? I think house prices increased like tenfold in comparison to like the to what it originally was back when my parents were young. Yeah, sure, buddy. Sure, buddy.
This is part of the problem, and this is what young people are sick of. And these people that they're attacking, they don't even necessarily all agree with each other. You know, Candace does not agree with Tucker. Tucker does not agree with Nick. Nick does not agree with Brett Cooper. Brett Cooper does not agree with Tucker. But they agree that we need to put our country first. They agree that young people have these different problems going on. And they agree that we should have free speech and that we don't have to necessarily censor each other. We should have a conversation. And you know who's based on that? Father Josiah. Father Josiah, he probably doesn't agree with Tucker or Nick on everything. He responded to the video and said, you know, this is a good conversation. We need to talk about what's going on. But you know what happened right after this? I'm not going to name who they were, but I saw all these Protestant influencers come out on Twitter, on YouTube, and they attacked them in that order. Tucker, Nick, Candace, and now Brett Cooper. And they attacked them with the exact same talking points. What the hell is up with that? And I'm not going to make accusations. I'm not even going to name who I'm talking about, but yeah, you know, if I didn't know any better, I would say these people are getting paid. And it's like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me right now? All these issues going on.
Well, I need more context to actually, know what is being said. I need more context, so I can't make a decision. But I know for a fact that if we want to argue from religion, all three of these, I don't know for Brett, but Carlson, Owens, and Fuentes, all three of these do absolutely 100% have non-biblical standpoints on things that go against the Bible. So I don't know. It's hard to say. So I wouldn't argue from a biblical standpoint because they all have viewpoints that are non-biblical. That doesn't work.
And you have these people trying to silence anyone, especially these young people. Brett Cooper's a young person. You're going to attack her over what? Because she's worried about what's going on? She thinks we should talk? And all these influencers, they love Charlie Kirk, but none of them will debate anyone. They don't want to debate Tucker. They don't want to debate Candace, or Nick, or Brett Cooper, or Ian Carroll, and the list goes on. Why? And think about this. If Tucker interviewed a Christ-hating atheist...
Well, I think for one, Candace is an absolute nutcase. She's an absolute nutcase, so there's that, in my opinion. Fuentes is an odd one. Sometimes I'm like, okay, and sometimes I'm like, bro, you retarded. And for I don't follow Tucker Carlson.
Or someone like that, who the whole episode was just blaspheming and trash-talking Christians and Jesus Christ. Do you actually think that all these Protestant influencers would come out with the pitchforks in outrage like they are right now? We all know that.
But Protestants are more, depending on where, if we're talking about Protestant, right, not Orthodox. I don't know if Orthodox are considered Protestant, to be fair. Sometimes people are using it, sometimes not. When I look at these, they are sometimes like left wing anyways. Like if you have rainbow flags in the church, I am questioning things.
They absolutely would not. And that really says it all about...
To be fair, the Catholic Church does this too, so
what's going on here. Like, I've seen this one before. We've seen it before. Mom, we've seen it before. Can we watch something new? This is what Gen Z has been gaslit into thinking is normal. So you've got, the economy's getting worse, crime's getting worse, all these things are going wrong. But oh my gosh, 2 people talked? Guys, 2 people talked on a podcast. And that's what we're supposed to be outraged about? Are you kidding me? The people creating this outrage have never talked to a young person ever. But then they wonder why young people watch someone like Tucker. And then they get angry. We're supposed to be offended about what? Some podcast? Get real. And this is why young people are waking up. They're seeing this. And the natural result is that it just keeps building.
Yeah, Sydney Sweeney. Who would have guessed this from Sydney Sweeney? I never expected her to be based. I don't know where this came from. Candace is psycho. That's not surprising. Fuentes is a charismatic idiot who will do everything for power. Coulson is just a traitor, since there were some expectations of him to be a good American. Fuentes is the only one of them who will be very dangerous if we give him too much publicity, if we make him too popular. He is well on that way because, it's gonna be hard. Where are the people that supported Kirk? Where are they most likely to go? And I think it's Fuentes.
Just keeps going. And if this keeps up, not only are people going to become spiritually healthy, I guess, and politically aware, but also younger people, by proxy, let's just be real, they're going to start dating again. They're going to reject a lot of the propaganda, and then they're going to start getting married, and then they're going to start having families. And lo and behold,
I'm gonna be real. That's a lot of hopium right there. That's a sea of hopium. That is, I don't think we can absorb this much hopium. I don't think that we can absorb this much. I don't think so.
In the midst of all of this, now we're seeing this top-down, very clearly artificial propaganda from, Vogue?
You could still say Gen Z is definitely, waking up. I mean, have we seen all the revolutions going on with Zoomers? Right? Have we not seen it? Right? We have seen it. Mexico. Was it Nepal? Was it? I'm not sure. Something was happening in Indonesia, Philippines. We are seeing it. We are seeing it. We're just not seeing it in Europe and in the US, but we're seeing it.
Vogue, an elite-level magazine, an establishment outlet, gaslighting young women into thinking it's embarrassing to have a boyfriend. I don't know if any girls are falling for that, but... Because women up until this point have been subject...
If they have TikTok, yes, they will. There's a new trend of virtue signaling. You won't believe it. If you are a woman, you'd have to shake your head. There's a new trend of virtue signaling on TikTok. Having a purple profile picture to support women, because having a purple profile picture is definitely saving a woman from getting beaten by her abusive husband. Most definitely, it's saving little girls from getting beaten by their fathers, or abusive mothers, or abusive parents, abusive siblings, whatever. Definitely. New wave of virtue signaling. Turning your profile picture purple. Because it's definitely helping women.
To the system. What do women find attractive? Currently. They find powerful men attractive, obviously. But right now, it's only if they are powerful in the hierarchy of this matriarchal, system. How do you reach that position? Well, as a man, you have to conform. You have to submit to this, matriarchal hierarchy.
I think that's pretty nonsense. We don't live in a matriarchy. Women can't even enforce a matriarchy. That doesn't make sense. Women cannot enforce a matriarchy because they don't lack the physical force. So I wouldn't use... What I think we live in is a dominator system in which the people that have the power, will abuse it. whether they're man or woman. And what I think is that this whole gender divide is built on making money. People can make money by using this gender war. That is an uncomfortable truth. People can make a profit when men and women hate each other.
And we all know why that's a dark path, I guess. But if that changes, if everyone slowly rejects that, who knows? If the culture becomes conservative or patriotic again, then on the grassroots level, stuff like feminism, stuff like this matriarchy stuff, the system in regards to that, so to speak, it all loses legitimacy in the eyes of normal people. Then we cut to today. And all of a sudden, in light of all these developments, well, now it's embarrassing for young people to date? Apparently. And it's like, okay, sorry, who called for this article? Why now? Why right now? I think we all know. In some sense, it's nothing new, but it seems like now it's been ramped up, and the messaging, if you read between the lines, it has changed. Before, the messaging was about female empowerment or, opportunities or, the evils of men or whatever.
What they're slowly arguing for is segregation of the genders, I feel like. What they're arguing for slowly is the segregation of men and women, to the point where you eventually only come together to have children and then you move on.
And it was trying to sell something. It was all about, trying to sell or convince a woman of these deceptions. Now the messaging is all about conformity. Conforming. Explicitly. Threateningly almost. They aren't even trying to hide it now. We have articles from the UK, which I think Keith Woods shared around, saying that if young women, or anyone for that matter, highlights the link between women getting attacked and mass migration, then you're part of the problem.
I absolutely and utterly disagree. There is a link. There is a link. I don't know how anybody can sit there and be like, there's no link. There is a link. There absolutely is a link.
Apparently. You have these celebrities every other week gaslighting young women, signaling to them that stuff like, if you date a guy, if you want to be married and stay at home, that there's something wrong with you. You're giving off the ick. Shut up.
Not gonna lie, what surprised me recently the most was Nicki Minaj. I was like, bro, I wasn't familiar with your game. I was not familiar with her game. I'll be real. I did not know this woman has been doing some good stuff. I was like, this woman's just a whore. I take that back. This woman, she has done some really great stuff. Like, she's been paying for people's college if they had good grades. She's speaking out for Nigeria. Like, peak.
And I think people are starting to see through that as well, the celebrity slop. And now it's articles like this from Vogue. Vogue, which is an elite institutional media outlet. They are part of the system, so to speak, and they're telling women, gaslighting them into feeling shame about, Reed's notes, having a boyfriend. Really? It begs the question as to why. And this is where a lot of people seem to get it twisted. I see a lot of people saying this is just the angry feminist author having a meltdown, Chungus style. Wrong. Wake up. The reason they're pushing this stuff right now is because we are at a critical moment. We are at an impasse. Politically, we are at a crossroads. In just 1 year, we now have very motivated people on the right wing for the first time in our entire life. And of course, what is one of the major issues in politics, going back a decade or more? It is demographics. In this case, it's the fertility rate. Every Western country has a subpar fertility rate, way below replacement levels, as we all know. Well, the thing is, if all the young people are becoming trad, as much as it sounds like cringe or whatever, trad and conservative and Christian and patriotic, and putting the West first, their respective countries.
To be fair, I don't think this will happen. I don't think this will happen. To be fair, I don't think so. To be fair, the fertility rate will be eventually start to drop in every place in the world. I do think so. Because eventually the same propaganda will be pushed onto those women too. So I don't think this will stay for that long.
What do you think is going to happen? They're going to start having families. And those families translate into actual people who can think and act politically and socially, and they're going to be within a environment which actually supports them. Very quickly, in the course of decades, you see how this can basically reverse entire political policies, change the voting demographic, the list goes on. I don't want to waste my time on this point, we're sort of going over common ground. This is all to say,
because I just looked at one of the major populations in the world, right? India. Even they are falling below replacement rate. So yeah.
what they do not want is for Gen Z, for Zoomers, to start dating, to start getting married, and obviously start having families. They do not want that. The reason we're seeing these articles and propaganda right now, at this critical time, is because up until this point, like noted before, the West has been on this decline because no one was having kids. Well, that could change. Realistically, in the near future, especially among Zoomers. Now, we don't know for sure, but if I had to guess, I'd say that is why we are starting to see all of this like anti-dating propaganda. Also, all this weird, very strong push for a return to feminism, which seems super out of place. I don't know if anyone else has noticed that. I've actually seen girls posting about that they're really pushing this stuff from the top down because it's just failing. They're losing the narrative. The left wing is losing the narrative. The institutions are losing the narrative. The young people are waking up. And the propaganda now, it's not even trying to convince young women anymore. The feminist propaganda is basically just trying to, at this point, shame them or humiliate them into not going down the traditional path of dating, marriage, and family, and especially Christianity. So, it is disturbing that they're pushing this, but I think it also goes to show that young people are becoming a serious force, okay? Patriotic, Christian.
I think what feminism does now for women, personally, I think, it is objectifying women more than they have ever been. It's objectifying women as much as it is as men have been objectified. Remember, objectification does not just mean on a sexual level. Objectification can also mean for your financial power. And when it comes to that, men have been the leaders of that objectification, right? You're only useful for what you provide. You get the idea, right? And I think women have reached not only a peak in sexual exploitation, but also financial power that can be exploited. So I would actually say that women are more exploited than they have ever been. Oddly, how the thing that was supposed to be for women is now exploiting women. Weird.
Putting their country first and not being bullied into hating themselves, okay? And really hoping for the best. So Gen Z, Zoomers, look, we are actually going to be the generation, if we lock in, to completely flip the narrative for the better. Because young people are waking up. They're becoming Christian. They're becoming based. As much as it's becoming based. But it's true. And it's good to see.
But especially on sexual matter, just look outside. Obviously, you can say what you like. These women can walk outside and be like, "I can wear what I want." You're still objectifying yourself. Now it's not the men doing it; it's you just yourself. It doesn't change anything who is doing it. At the end of the day, you're still doing it yourself at that point. And now you're being also exploited for financial gain. Congratulations. I think it's their freedom of choice. I'm not so sure. It's not the example we nailed to their head. If I constantly feed you with material, is it really your choice? Right? Like cosmetics, like the women that say basically like, They go like they're wearing makeup for themselves. No, you don't. You've been told that you wear it for yourself, but do you truly do it? If you were doing for yourself, do you actually know what you are putting on your face? Do you know what damage it is causing? How many products they make your skin worse, so you buy more to cover up what made your face worse. It is so interesting. Also, again, it's not really choice, right? If you make the wrong choice, then you're evil. For example, you're free to wear whatever you want within what's been decided to be the current fashion. Exactly. Is it really freedom when others are telling you that you should do it?
So, thanks for watching. Remember, it's Christ first. Always. Never forget that. That's going to be the video. God bless, and good night.
All right. While I don't agree with everything, there are some points that I find questionable, right? I don't agree with everything, but he did make some good points. Now, I don't agree with the fact that like there's gonna be like this this like great massive return of conservatism and Christianity. I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think it's gonna get a lot worse before normal like a normal setting is going to exist. But yeah, anyways, like, comment, and subscribe.